common question I get is how often I clean my guns. Maybe it sounds a little bit dumb or a little bit common sense. Sometimes the answers surprise people, and sometimes I think people ask questions. Well, I've asked questions that I think I know the answer to just to confirm what I'm doing is not too crazy or makes sense. So anyway, I'll just break it down. Polymer frame, steel frame pistols, and then carbines. For polymer frame guns, they really don't need to be lubricated or cleaned much at all. You fire them something like 5,000 rounds without really even worrying about it. It'd be fine. For the most time, my polymer frame guns, it depends on the type of ammo I'm shooting. So sometimes it'll depend on the powder inside the cartridges, because some will be really dirty or kind of sooty. Some are really clean depending on bullet weight, powders, manufacturer, where it came from, that kind of stuff. So if it's stuff that's really dirty, or some of the stuff, like some of the gold dot stuff, it's almost like sooty, kind of. Those, I'll just lock the slide open if I feel like it's really gunky and just use a paper towel and wipe off the feed ramp without even disassembling it, or wipe off the breech face, something like that if I've shot a bunch. Otherwise, that's probably it for up to 5, maybe 10,000 rounds of cleaning, something like that. Just wipe off the feed ramp and the breech face if it feels a little gunky. Otherwise, it's pretty much good to go. Maybe once or twice a year on the polymer frame guns, I'll just take the slide off the frame, pull the barrel out, wipe everything off, just wipe it dry with a paper towel, look everything over, put a light coat of oil on it before I put it back together, and that's about it. But that's like a once or twice a year for guns that I shoot quite a bit. The polymer frame and metal slides don't need a lot. So that'd be Glocks. I don't have, I guess, experience with M&Ps, but Walther PDPs and Glocks are that way. I've shot them both a lot. For steel frame guns, those I prefer to keep them wet, especially relating to the slide to frame, just because metal on metal, they actually still run fine dry. I've done that, but you're probably going to enhance wear, and I just try to, care for my equipment, that kind of thing. So anything steel frame, whether it's CZ, Tanfolio, Walther steel frame, anything like that, probably pull off the slide around every 1,000 rounds or so, just add oil and put it back together. That's about it. Just pull the slide off. You could put oil in the frame rails, or just the marks, the spots, the corners on the frame where the slide contacts the frame. That's about it. A little bit over the barrel hood if you want, or lock the slide open, and a little bit of a ring around the barrel, something like that. But that's about it. It's probably 15 to 20 seconds to oil it and put it back together, something like that, maybe 30 seconds. It's not a big deal at all. For those, the same deal, probably once or twice a year to actually take them off with the slide out of the barrel, wipe everything off, and re-oil them. But for the most part, those guns just work, and they're not super tight tolerances or anything where any gun I fired where I have to do like a deep clean, anything like that, even with the Tanfolio guns, which are maybe a little bit more finicky, but just no issues at all. As far as carbines go, those I'm a little bit more particular with, and it depends on what type of ammo you're shooting and if it's suppressed or not suppressed. So, for just a regular non-suppressed 5.56 gun, normally I'll pull the bolt carrier group just before going to the range and just add some oil. It's probably like every 500 to 1,000 rounds just to keep the bolt wet. So I should specify the carrier is what I'm keeping wet. And they run fine dry also, but it's metal on metal, and I just try to care for machines, I guess, care for the equipment. So up to you if you like oil or grease. Grease is pretty good because it stays put. You just don't want anything that's going to attract too much gunk and then end up being kind of a sludge inside the gun, I suppose. But whatever you like. Again, I'm mainly just putting oil on the carrier and then just run the charging handle a few times. Make sure that goes smoothly. The trigger, make sure I pull the trigger and that I don't feel any grit or it feels super dry, because sometimes that'll happen. Or the two-stage Geisley stuff, if you're kind of just playing with that take-up or the travel before you get to the wall, that could get kind of where it like stops midway, or you feel like a high or low spot just from getting dry. So anyway, just make sure that feels okay, a little bit on the carrier, and that's that. If you're shooting suppressed, that changes quite a bit. I normally use flow-through cans. I really like the Surefire RC3. So for that, it pretty much treat it the same way as an unsuppressed gun. It really doesn't get dry or anything like that. I'll still just keep it oiled just because, but I don't really do a whole lot differently. However, cans that have back pressure, like the RC2 or any of the competing ones, well, I say not to shame, but I'm going to shame him. I mean, whatever, Ben won't care. Recently, our old friend Ben Steger's house, and I decided to be nice and was cleaning one of my rifles, thought I'd just go through a couple of his rifles while I was at it. And one of his BCMs has a RC2 on it, so a non-flow through. And going to a place where there's a lot of ammo and, well, infinite ammo and the ability to shoot as much as you want, those guns are going to get dirty. So the RC2 on that gun was seized on where he couldn't get it off. And then just pulling the charging handle, the carrier would kind of catch along the way. It was not going smoothly, and the safety was stuck on. So the safety was on, but I couldn't get it off. So that's just from shooting a back pressure can a lot and it just not being lubricated. So all I did for that was just pull out the bolt, hold it over a trash can, the bolt or the whole carrier, and hose it off over a trash can, re-lubricate it. That I didn't even tear it all the way apart, and it was good to go again. Spray some oil in the trigger guard, got the safety working again. It's all gravy. So anyway, for a can with back pressure, that is going to require more oil, just because with the flow-through cans, everything kind of goes out the muzzle end, and with the back pressure cans or a regular conventional suppressor, that stuff's going to come back through the action and dry it out. So that's going to need to be oiled more often. But it's up to you. I'm sure you'll tell me how I'm doing it. You can tell me how I'm oiling my guns wrong in the comments. Maybe too much, maybe not enough. Hopefully that answers some questions. Again, for metal-framed, steel-framed guns and carbines, I do prefer to keep them wet just because it's metal on metal and I don't want to accelerate wear or, abuse the equipment. Polymer frame guns, they're pretty much just good to go. They don't have to be, any of them I've fired, they're lubricated, need to be clean, dirty, any of that kind of stuff. I just make sure the feed ramp doesn't get too gunked up and they're just pretty much good to go. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Answer some questions. If I'm missing the boat on gun cleaning and I don't know what I'm doing, feel free to tell me in the comments.